This is the voice of freedom. We are not one voice. We are many. We are your voice. But we can only be effective if you use your voice. Your voice. This is the voice of freedom. We will not hide from the truth. We will ask the hard questions until we are sure we have the truth. Welcome to the voice of freedom, where your voice will never be silenced.
Hello. Hello, Chief. It's me, Max. Can you hear me? Hello. Hello. Is it working? Hello. Do I need the shoe phone? Bloody hell. Sorry about that, folks. Audio issues. Microphones plugged in wrong holes or not plugged in at all, or looking for a microphone that wasn't plugged in. I don't know what the hell happened. Anyway, it's fixed up. We're sorted. My apologies for screwing you around on the first attempt. Thank you to Guru for ringing me and telling me. Thank you to the Galactic Larrikins, who I'm saying, yes, I'll ring you after I finish talking when nobody can hear me. So isn't that fabulous? It's nice that I've got good friends. So thank you for all of that. Folks, I'm in Singleton. Well, I'm very close to Singleton. Tonight, I will be in Singleton at the Cali Hotel. Why? Well, I've fortuitously arrived on a night where the People's Council are going to be setting up. Now, if you happen to be in the Singleton area and you're a member of the Singleton Council area, then we would love to see you at the Cali tonight from 7 o'clock. In fact, we'd love to see you earlier. Come in for dinner. We're going to be there from 5:30, having a meal beforehand. And the People's Council is more an information session and a setup tonight. It's the first time that it's been tried here in Singleton. And so if you are in Singleton and you are sick and tired of your corporate council and the bullshit that they put you through, then here's your opportunity to stand up. Come and be part of this meeting tonight. You don't need to know anything about common law. We're hearing a lot of people are saying, oh, I've got to know about common law to be in the council. No, you do not. All you need to be a good People's Council member is a desire to help your community. That's all you need. A desire to help your community more than you want to help yourself. And the corporate councils work on a different perigium than that. So maybe, flip it and you'll get a bit of an idea. But tonight, if you would like to be part of the movement that is growing across Australia, Darren Bergwerf set this off in Victoria with the Frankston People's Council. There are more Victorian People's Councils now coming up, and there are more and more coming online in other states around Australia. Now, if you want to be part of this Singleton, we need you to be part of this. The Cali Hotel is our totem. That red ensign on the roof, and the fact that so many businesses now are getting behind the red ensign on the roof in Singleton is just a testament to how strong this people's movement is. So people of Singleton, come to the Cali tonight. 7 o'clock, the meeting will get underway. I've actually got to do a live. We're talking with Mike Holt tonight, but I'm going to try and get that out of the way earlier because it's important. I'm not playing any part in this evening's proceedings. You should know that because I'm not a local. I can't vote in a council election here, but I will be along to help you figure out what you can do. And we do have a list of things that you've got to go through to become a People's Council. They're not big things, email address, phone number, somewhere to hold it. We're holding it at the Cali. Our first council meeting, if you like, or the Singleton People's Council first meeting will be held at the Cali tonight. So love to see you at the Cali in Singleton tonight under the red ensign for dinner, 5:30, and then moving on. The actual meeting will get started at around 7 o'clock. So please, folks, if you're in Singleton, come tonight. Love to see you. Come up, say hi. I'm not doing a show from Singleton as such tonight, although it will be from Singleton. But it's just going to be a private show because we are going to have a little bit of a chat with Mike Holt, and it's not a public event, so to speak. But you'll be able to watch it. It will be fine. I've had a lot of interesting things come out of the phone this morning regarding what's happened in Melbourne over the last few days. It seems a lot of people are sending mixed messages. A lot are saying it was a fabulous time. A lot are saying there were some issues. I'm not going to make a comment on any of that at the moment. We're just going to wait and see what comes out. I wasn't there, so I have no first-hand knowledge. Pardon me. I will find out some first-hand knowledge because I do know a lot of people that were there. So we will get an idea of what's transpired. But certainly there has been a lot of interesting conversation over the last couple of days regarding a number of people who were heavily involved in organising and running that event, and I'm sure there will be more to come out. Mainstream media, I am sure, did not mention the mission to Melbourne at all. Wobbly Boost, yes. Morning to you too. I can't imagine that MSN would mention it. You could be, and I believe that a lot of the protesters were parked up in front of Channel 7 and Channel 9 in Melbourne, possibly Channel 10 there in South Yarra. I think Melbourne TV centres are now located around Docklands from memory. Channel 7 certainly is. I think Channel 9 moved there a little while back. Channel 10 may have moved out of South Yarra or Toorak. They were on Chapel Street there for a long time. But the ABC, of course, are in Ultimo. Doesn't matter where you go and protest these television stations. You can't get inside them, and they can close the curtains, particularly in Sydney. For Channel 7 with their view straight out onto Martin Place. They can close those curtains down. It's all soundproof. They can't hear you through the glass. So it doesn't matter how much you whinge and complain out the front. They're not going to expose you. Mainstream media are not on our side, folks, and they're certainly not going to promote the fact that people are unhappy with what's going on in Victoria at the moment, because they are 100% committed to getting that useless piece of shit that's running your state at the moment re-elected. I don't know, folks, how you are going to get rid of him. I really don't, because there are so many issues confronting Victoria, not the least of which is an opposition that is an opposition in name only. I couldn't tell you the name of one person in it. Now, maybe that's a mainstream media issue too, because I don't go looking for it, and mainstream media aren't promoting the fact that there is an opposition in Victoria, certainly outside of Victoria. So I'll be interested once we cross the border and see some Victorian news, exactly how the mainstream media are presenting it. It's pretty easy. Yeah, that's the thing to keep a bit of an eye on for the next few days out of what's come out of Melbourne. I've had some very interesting conversations this morning. There are a lot of people who have come away disheartened with certain people who are putting themselves up as leaders in this movement. And I don't know that what they did over the weekend is actually leadership sort of material, to be honest. But if that's what you want to follow, and if they're who you want to follow, then that's your business. We'll just keep plodding along here the way that we do things, and trying to let you make up your own mind with facts that are presented in an unbiased way. Tonight, I only wanted to make this one very short because I've got a few other things I have to get off and do. Tonight, if you are in Singleton, please come up, say hi. But more particularly, wait until after the People's Council meeting, because I'm not going to talk to anybody before it. You've got to come to the People's Council meeting and be involved in that. And then if you want to come around and have a chat with me afterwards, then that's great. I'm very happy to have a chat. But tonight is all about forming a People's Council in Singleton. And I'm so happy, just fluked it, that I can be here on the night where it was all setting up. So we're on our way down to Victoria, of course, and always love to call in and see Brad and the crew at the Cali. So it's basically our go-to point now whenever we're going south. This is where we'll come first. So looking forward to seeing the crew in at the Cali later on this afternoon, and looking forward to seeing you there tonight. 5:30 for dinner. Please come in and have a meal with us. We'd love to. You'll probably get a word out of me during the meal. And then after the council meeting, or after the information session, at least, if you want to come up, you've got a story you want to tell, happy to hear it. But it's all about the People's Council tonight, folks. All about the People's Council. Love to see you at the Cali. Please turn up. Look forward to seeing you. Now, Guru is floating around. Dave's in the chat. Steve, your biggest fear... sorry, where did that go? These comments are scrolling past so quick. I saw my biggest fear is, and that's as far as I got. Do I think America is provoking the war that Trump can't get back in while there's a war going on? There won't be a war going on. Biden can promote everything he wants to do, but I don't think he's got the nuclear codes. So I wouldn't be too worried about Biden pushing the nuclear button. Would I be worried about Putin pushing the nuclear button? No, not especially. The biggest person that's going to lose out in any radiation battle is a large part of Russia, and certainly the part of Ukraine that he's trying to protect. So it would be a fairly useless way of protecting what he's trying to protect if he threw a nuke into it. If there is going to be a nuke, it will come from NATO, I believe, because NATO are the deep state. They are the armed forces of the deep state. And they will have access. There will be some state sponsor. Got to remember who's involved here. The French, the British, they're all part of NATO. They're all well armed. Pakistan have nuclear weapons. They're not part of NATO, but they are certainly part of the deep state. So there are plenty of nukes floating around that could, in effect, be used. Will they be used? I don't know, and one would like to think that the white hats are all over that and have seen ways that can be stopped. I don't want to go and get into Project Looking Glass right now, but if you are familiar with Project Looking Glass, then you should be pretty familiar that this really is just a movie we're watching. Yes, bit severe haircut. Yes, sorry, got a bit carried away with the clippers. That's how it worked out. Yeah, Sue says Trump and the army have the codes. Yes, Sue, I believe that is the case too. I believe that his generals have the football, and whatever Biden's carrying around is probably an empty briefcase, or it may just have his lunch in it, because he's got nothing else. Absolutely nothing else. No, that's your question. I've been through that. See the legislation they're trying to pass in America, military farce against the unjabbed. Yes, I did hear that was happening. Yeah, Dave's just mentioned something here that the Cossack is behind, and Guru is getting behind as well, and so will I think, at some stage. On the 22nd of October, the Aussie Cossack is organising a rally in support of Australians staying out of war. You can view this, I think, two ways. You can view it as protesting for Australia to have nothing to do with what's going on in the Ukraine, and certainly to stop supplying weapons. As I tried to say the other night when we had the Aussie Cossack on, Australia has so far supplied $388 million in weapons aid, military aid, and $68 million, in humanitarian aid. Now, as far as I'm concerned, for a country that isn't involved in NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Alliance, then we have got those numbers asked about face. Shouldn't we be sending $388 million in humanitarian aid and nothing militarily? That's just the question. So that would be something you can go along and support on the 22nd. If you're in Sydney, Town Hall midday, I think it is, or it might be 2 o'clock, midday, I'm pretty sure, for the Aussie Cossacks rally. That is going to be a fairly big rally. The Aussie Cossack always organises a good show. There is a chance I'll be there for that one. There is a chance Guru will be there for that one. That'll depend on who else is going to be there, because Guru and I don't like to share stages with certain people. So we'll find out who's going to be there, and then we'll decide whether or not we're going to go. But I certainly support the idea the Cossack is putting forward that Australians do not want to be involved in any war with Russia. We would prefer that we weren't sending our Bushmasters and our Javelin missiles and anything else, the special packet that has just been sent to Zelensky. So, we would prefer that a lot of that doesn't happen. But obviously enough, we're not in charge of the government. Not yet. The people haven't got control yet, folks. We need you to stand up. Are you going to stand up? Well, maybe one of the ways you can do that tonight in Singleton, and then down in Victoria over the next week or so, we'll be talking about people's councils there, setting up in South Morang and Shepparton. We're going to Frankston. We'll do a few more dates in Victoria. I'm going to Tasmania after Victoria. In fact, I'll be in Tasmania the 29th, the 30th. 29th in Penguin, 30th in Launceston, and then from the 31st in Hobart for a week. And we will do Magna Carta education at the Mornington Inn, from memory, I think is the name of the venue. So we're going to be doing some Magna Carta education there for 3 days, and we'll do a couple of shows out of there as well. Now, if you're in Tassie, love to see you there. So Penguin on the 29th, the 30th in Launceston. We're still setting up dates and places, at least, I think, in Lonnie. And and then off to Hobart for a week. So I'm really looking forward to coming down to Tasmania. We'll talk a lot about people's councils in Tasmania too. So if you're keen to set one of those up, come with all your questions and we'll see if we can't furnish you with a few of those answers. But tonight is the big one. Singleton, come tonight to the Cali. Get the Cali out. And in fact, it is getting a little chilly with me bald head. So come to the Cali tonight, folks. Love to have dinner with you. 5:30 tonight, and then from 7 o'clock, the People's Council information session will begin. We would love to see you there. I'm so grateful that we've fluked it and been able to turn up for this evening. It's really good. Looking forward to seeing all the people that we met about a month ago when we were last in Singleton. Really looking forward to catching up with everybody behind the bar at the Cali, and of course all the great friends that we made last time we were here. Can't wait to see you all. If you can tonight, please pop out to the Cali, come and say hi, and come and be part of the people's meeting. It will be exceptional. I'll just have a quick scan just to see if there's too many questions I haven't missed here. Traitors already trying to send the troops spool to Ukraine. Yep, I hear you about that. Yeah, there's one from Sudsy. Let's get behind Simeon and show our love and support for Uncle Vlad and Russia. Good on you. I think the Cossacks. I think the Cossacks got the right end of the stick on this one. Australians don't want to be involved in this war, so well worthwhile having a look at. According to the Cossack, Russia is getting serious. They haven't got serious yet, mate. If they got serious, there'd be nothing left of Ukraine. So no, I think they're just prodding them a little bit now. I think we've pretty much seen. Aaron's with me. He doesn't believe Putin will use nukes either. No, I certainly don't believe that. Cheyenne Mountain has been locked down since the 5th of January. Yes, we're fully aware of that. That Cheyenne Mountain, for those of you that aren't aware, is NORAD, the North. I forget now what it stands for, the acronym, but at any rate, NORAD tracks everything in space and tracks all threats, all nuclear threats. NORAD was the home of the nuclear missions, if you like, in the 60s and 70s and early 80s, where 24 hours a day there were nuclear armed bombers flying, protecting, if you like, America, and ready to go and drop on Russia at the moment's notice. It is the home of the early warning missile alert system. So if any ballistic missiles lift off, NORAD tracks them pretty much essentially from the moment they get about a foot off the ground, and can predict with great accuracy where they'll land. NORAD is the home of the deep state. So I'm not surprised it's been locked down since January. I think a lot of people have probably been knocking on the door trying to get in there. And those inside will not want them. Farlap. So I did get this message yesterday too about deleting PayPal. I'm not sure what's going on there. I don't really use PayPal. So if you are a PayPal user, you might want to check into what's going on in PayPal. I did see a few messages come through yesterday. People were saying pull out of it. So that's a decision for you to make, folks, because like I say, I don't use it. Doesn't really have anything to do with me. Should we be sending we shouldn't be sending anything full stop. Yes, Aaron, you're 100% right. We should be sending love and maybe a brains trust who could potentially negotiate a way out of this. I really don't see that there is a way to negotiate out of this. The Nazis out of Ukraine, the Nazis dead in Ukraine. They're about the only two solutions that I can see happening. And even the Nazis getting out of Ukraine isn't a solution. That just means they're going to set up somewhere else. So, yes, I guess the only solution is a bunch of dead Nazis buried in Ukraine or scattered across it, whichever way works. I have no problem with that. None whatsoever. Don't believe everything you see in the mainstream media. Essentially, what you are seeing in mainstream media, particularly when they are reporting on this Russian conflict, is the inverse to what's actually happened. If you're hearing stories that the Russians have fired missiles into civilian housing, then you can be guaranteed the Russians didn't fire missiles into civilian housing, but the Ukraine army did, or the Nazis that are running it. They are doing that. That we have evidence of it. Lots and lots of evidence of it, but the mainstream media aren't showing you any of that. Not one skerrick of it. So trust the Aussie Cossack in this regard. He does give you very fair and balanced, if I say so myself, very fair and balanced appraisal of what Russia is doing. And the fact is, Russia is a big bear, and you've woken the bear, and the bear is pretty pissed. It's only going to get worse. That's an interesting thing. The new package is going to include Aussie troops. If that's what Zelensky was referring to a week ago, then that's going to be problematic because the Australian people will not support that. And what the hell is the government doing things the Australian people don't support? So I can't see that Australian troops are going to be welcomed offshore by the people to go and fight in a war that is essentially going to make them cannon fodder. All right? If you're in the armed services and you're being ordered to go somewhere like that, just quietly let me know. Be very keen to have an understanding of what's going on there. Because if that's what's going on, then the people are going to get very vocal about sending Australian military personnel into that theatre of war when it's none of our business. None. So, yeah, that's something we'll have to check into and look further for. Haven't heard much about silver prices, haven't looked in recent days, can't buy any, so what's the point in looking? Gone down a little bit, I'm getting an indication, but that's all right. These things go up and down. It's a bit like the stock market. Don't worry about it. Floods are coming to Victoria. Yes, we're very sure the floods are coming to Victoria. In fact, we're going to be driving through it on Wednesday. Wednesday, Thursday. Today's Wednesday, isn't it? So, tomorrow we're going to be driving through it. We'll be coming down the Hume, so I think pretty much we should be able to get most of the way. The concern for me is actually getting to the Singketon show. I know that Golden Valley Highway. I used to drive it quite regularly, and I know that there are a couple of areas where it gets cut. I also know that Singketon can be isolated from the south pretty easily. So, it's going to be interesting to see the weather. I'm taking the camera. We're going to stop at the Hume Dam on the way past, take a few photos, and obviously when we get to Singketon, we'll be having a very good look around the Golden Valley and the Goulburn River. I've already had somebody there send me pictures of the Goulburn River in flood at Mooroopna, which is just a little town on the other side of the river from Singketon. So the causeway there is flooded, it seems, or has been in the last few days. There'll be more of that coming down because... we had a look at the rivers yesterday, just driving down from Queensland. Every one of the rivers and every one of the creeks that we crossed coming down the east coast yesterday is just about at the top of its banks. They are ready to burst. So the ground is sodden. There is no more water can be soaked up by the ground anywhere. There are huge lakes in the middle of low-lying paddocks. And that water's not getting away. It's not seeping into the ground. So certainly the East Coast is very waterlogged at the moment, and I suspect Victoria is just the same. So all that water is just going to keep running off, going to keep running into the creeks, going to keep running into the rivers, and keep swelling those banks. So yes, I suspect that we are going to run into a bit of flooding in Victoria when we get down there. Fingers crossed, we won't be doing anything too socially excitable in it. Hi, John in Arizona. Well, g'day, John. Lovely to have you in from Arizona. I wonder if you're one of our friends in Arizona. We have a few friends in Arizona. It's a lovely part of the world to be. Lovely to have you with us, and stay tuned. More to come. Aussie think tank is working with Ukraine. Well, that's interesting. You've got that at Dave Graham. I can tell you Dave Graham's not working with any think tank. Was that me having a slap at Dave? A bit of fun, mate. See you in the NT, mate. See you in the NT soon. Mainstream media, yes, they are doing nothing but lying. Black sheep has the right thing. They are a virus, and eventually we will find the cure for that. But you know what the cure for a pox-ridden media is, folks? You're the cure for a pox-ridden media. You're the cure for a media that won't tell you the truth. You're the cure. You just don't realise it, or you haven't recognised it yet. You haven't turned them off enough yet. But you're the cure. So Always remember that. Yes, they will be telling Zelensky exactly what to do happening over there. Looking for question marks. Don't seem to see too many. Rivers are full. Yep, I know that's CPN. We're sure to be seeing a bit of wild weather on the way down too, I think. Hello, Sue. I don't think I said hello to you earlier. Lovely to see you. And Marley, you love my haircut. I did it myself. Can you tell? Thank you so much. The ground is saturated in Victoria. Yeah, I kind of figured it would be. The money we sent where? Oh, yeah, the money laundering system for Zelensky. Yes, one day I will. I haven't got time now, but I will explain how aid works, international aid. Certainly when it comes to military aid, we have provided some military hardware. But in the big scheme of things, we've actually provided cash, large amounts of cash, to the Americans who are supplying weapons systems to the Ukraine. So our aid has enabled Ukraine to buy from the Americans weapon systems to fight the Russians. Yes, there's another interesting, I'm not going to get into it now because I'd need to go back through my research on it, but places like the UN, those groups that want to feed hungry children in Africa and all that sort of thing, don't be donating to them, folks. Don't be sending them shit because it never gets to the people. If you send cash, it gets divvied up in Turkey and other places and then split off to the deep staters around the world. The only thing that's going to help people in Africa is them being allowed to grow sustainable foods and learn how to farm themselves. I'm sure they actually know how to do this already. They are fighting against everything the deep state throws at them to keep them in the position they're in places like Africa. Africa will be a powerhouse if it ever stands up, is allowed to stand up, because the wealth inside Africa is amazing. But the people aren't standing up. The people are being walked over by everybody, not least of all their own leadership, particularly in South Africa. So, there's a lot of interesting things going on in South Africa, and world aid or international aid. It is not what you think it is, folks. It is nothing like what you think it is. It is just simply a money laundering operation, and in some case, a weapons and child trafficking organisation. That's all they are. So, don't be helping them out at all if you can possibly avoid it. And let's face it, we can all avoid it. 6 empty sealed drums. Oh, yes, I see where you're going with that. Yes, most equipment sent to Ukraine does finish up on the black markets, particularly if it's actually still working. They can make more money out of it selling it to others. Yes, Crunchy, I do have my daughter with me. She's at the moment, she's in Newcastle at a Van Gogh exhibition with a friend that she made here. The lovely Tracy from Singleton has taken her in there. So Laura's having a day at the Van Gogh exhibition. I'm wondering what parts of her are going to come home cut off, but that's a whole other story. Alexander gave Hillary $94 million. Yeah. I think we can beat that. The redheaded clown gave her over $380 million. So that's why Alexander Downer is going to go, he's not going to go to jail. He's probably going to go to the end of a rope for what he did and his involvement. But with Hillary, her best girlfriend was our redheaded clown, Gillard. And that piece of work has shafted us so solidly. The money that she's given to the Clinton Foundation and associated other Clinton organizations. She bought her way into the UN, which just means to show she was a bit smarter than Kevin Rudd. But she bought her way into the UN and became the global head of education for women on a UN initiative. Do you remember that? That was just after she got out of Australian politics. Thank fuck. But she went off to then disseminate what we are currently teaching our children about gay, lesbian, and trans relationships in kindergartens and in primary schools. She went off to America and wheeled that out there too. So you can thank our red-headed clown for that, America. And of course, she's been able to wheel that out in a number of other places. They say, oh, it's all about making women stronger. It's not. It's all about you talking about how you might cut your penis off because you don't feel like you really want it anymore. Next week, you might change your mind, but the teacher that you're talking to says, oh, that's a great idea. Here's the knife. This is Gillard's little birthday surprise for us all. That's what she left. She instigated it through the militant Victorian Education Unit, which then spread to the rest of the country. And then our education system is now telling kids of primary school age that they can decide whether or not they want to be a boy or a girl, or that they weren't born a boy or a girl. I actually had this conversation with somebody the other day who tried to tell me that trans is a thing, you know, it's like a separate gender. And I said, oh, really? Have they discovered another chromosome? No, but that doesn't matter. Well, it kind of does. That's the science part. Trust the science. You want us to trust the science? Well, we trust all the bloody science, and we trust that there are only two genders, male and female. That's what I trust. So I hope you trust the same. And if not, we're going to have a very interesting conversation. Yes, money laundering is a better way of saying aid. That's exactly right. Or paying people off. That's how they do it. They do it through international aid. Invercargill in New Zealand, Donna Lee, thank you for joining us. You Kiwis doing a bloody great job. I know you're suffering probably harder than we are in a lot of ways. So I know Dave, Guru Dave, has been talking to one of your crowd over there in New Zealand about what's going on. I'd like to do that too. So I might hook up with Dave and whoever he spoke to, see if he'll share his contacts. He's not too bad for a, Northern Territory follower. But Dave will help me out there, I'm sure. Hook us up, and we'll see whether or not we can't get some news out of New Zealand, because I believe Australia and New Zealand are going to be shoulder to shoulder in this battle. We're going to have to be. So whether or not we're fully aware of how closely related we are yet, I don't know. But there are some very strong binding ties between Australians and New Zealanders, and we should be strengthening those bonds, I think. Chili's with us too, in case you were wondering. And that's Bella. So we're all having a party. Money laundering. Unfortunately, it's happening. Definitely happening here too. Years maybe, yeah. Oh, Farlap, I really like that one. Do you think Biden pooped himself when he backed away from the chopper the other day? That was a pretty funny bit of vision, I must think. Yeah, I think he did. But he had that sort of contented little look on his face, kind of embarrassed, but really contented. I know that feeling. This is the bit of news we're interested in. The COMEX is being drained of silver supply. Heard exactly the same thing. In fact, I don't know. I haven't been onto the silver sites. As I say, you've got to have money to buy it, and I don't bother going on and just to look at it. But yes, I think you're quite right. At the moment, the silver supply in Australia is very thin on the ground. So the last time I actually went and looked at some of the sites, they were saying delivery of certain things like 1 ounce ingots were due mid-October. Pay for them now, but due mid-October. I tend to follow the advice of people who are much smarter than me in this regard, and they said never buy anything gold and silver that you can't walk out the door and within your pocket or your hand or your truck or whatever you need. But you take possession of it. Don't pay for it and then hope it turns up. I think it's probably difficult in some cases for those people selling the bullion to make that trade, because they have the price there and now. There will be people who do go in and buy it and don't collect it. Does that mean that when you want to buy it, there will be no silver left to buy, let alone collect? So I understand the conundrum, but my suggestion would be, if you're going to buy silver, only buy, or gold or any precious metal, only buy what you can take out the door with you, that they can deliver to you immediately. Because if everything just stops, you'll get your gold or your silver somewhere down the track, but The problem with it, with the gold supply in the world at the moment, is there are a number of silver mines have shut down and have been shut down for a number of years because the silver price was so low. Did I say gold mines? Silver mines. Silver mines have been shut down in many places around the world because the price has been so low. Now it's coming back, but as the demand increases, you will see that those mines start opening up again. But like any mine, they take a while to get back up to running speed, get production operating again, and that's when you might see the price start to come down. But keep an eye on silver mines. Keep an eye on the silver price, and if you have the opportunity to buy silver or gold or any other precious metal and take it home with you, then that would be my advice. Do it that way rather than wait. Alexander Downer. Yes, Alexander Downer. Well, what can I say about him without getting myself in too deep? I would suggest that everybody goes and has a look at Executive Order 13848 and reads it very closely. Then goes and looks back at the history of this whole, I'm trying to say it without getting blocked, the whole thing that happened around November 2020. The stories that came out about a certain bloke going to Russia and peeing on a bed filled with prostitutes, a bed that Obama and his boyfriend had slept in. Those stories, they came from a London bar, and the fella telling those stories was one Alexander Downer, and he told it to an American who immediately reported it all. Alexander Downer is the reason Australia is so intrinsically involved in what's happening in America, and certainly against 45. So he is intrinsically involved. Be amazed if he's still got his suspenders on, to be honest. I think he's probably swinging from a set of fishnet stockings somewhere by now. Let's just, I'll wrap it up, folks, because I know it's the middle of the morning for people and I've still got a whole heap of stuff I've got to get to today. Oh, yes, I will certainly look for that. We were only having a discussion about bugs in food today. Be careful of milk, folks, particularly if you're lactose intolerant, lactose free. You look for all those sort of milk that doesn't come from a cow kind of things. Now you're going to get milk that comes from crickets, okay? Bugs. They grind them up into a powder, add something to them, turns it milky. That's your milk. Now, if that's for you, if you're up for eating the bug milk, then go hard. But what they aren't telling us is that they're going to start putting that in everything. So we can't let that happen, folks. We can't let that happen. Farmers. I had an interesting email from a fella the other day who'd sold some cattle in, let's say it was northern New South Wales. It might have been southeast or southwestern Queensland. I'm not sure which side of the border he came from. But at any rate, he had to ship them deeper into Queensland. He was pulled up at a stop, an organised stop, out near Roma, where he wasn't allowed out of his truck, but the stock agent, stock inspection guys who were talking to him, they distracted him at the front of the truck, and there were 9 or 10 police officers and associated others roaming around his herd. Now, what they were doing in the back of the truck, what they did to those cattle in the back of the truck, he has no idea. It would be very easy for them to be jabbed, and we've heard stories that cattle are now being dosed with an mRNA vaccine that will not only get into the milk, but it will also get into the meat. Will be passed down to, if a cow has a calf, it'll be passed down to the calf. If the calf survives, they'll get milk that produces what they want, not what we're used to, but something that's manufactured. And if you eat the calf, if you eat the cow, then that mRNA vaccine will get into you. So Once again, I have to get off because I've got to go and see this fella in Newcastle. This is all about being able to get a sustainable food source that you trust. We're looking for farmers. We're looking for beef growers, sheep growers, meat growers who are prepared to set up and butcher the meat. We have butchers who will come and help in many areas for this sort of thing. But if you want to sell your meat to people like me, you're going to have to undertake that there is nothing being jabbed into it that we wouldn't jab into ourselves, so to speak. You're going to need to make sure that it's safe. And we'll help you set up a distribution network around the country for it. You won't have to sell it to Coles. You won't have to sell it to Woolies. You'll get a good price for it. You get a better price than you get from those bastards. And the people will be safe. We cannot trust the food that's coming from our corporate supermarkets, folks. They are very, very, very taken over. I was driving down yesterday just looking through a service station, just looking at some of the stuff that they're trying to fill us with there. And service station food, I know sometimes there's no choice, but God almighty, there is nothing good in service station food, folks. Nothing good. So bear that in mind when you go on the road. Take your own. We like to make our own sandwiches, believe it or not. Okay, there are a few things that we do take on the road with us that probably shouldn't, but yeah, take our own sandwiches, take our own food. It's a lot easier, and it's a hell of a lot cheaper. And where was I yesterday? Pulled up somewhere yesterday. $7 for a packet of chips at a servo. $7 for a packet of Smith's chips. Couldn't believe it. They stayed at the servo. But anyway, just getting down to the bottom of my questions here. Mugabe used to steal the aid. Yes, he did. That's why Mugabe wound up the way he did. So Robert Mugabe was very good. He took all the money that was sent as aid, because Robert Mugabe was well and truly in the deep state. But then he started stealing the deep state's money too, and that didn't go down too well. So that's what happened to Robert Mugabe. He was playing two sides of the coin, and one side of it didn't like him too much. Yes, we will. I did say we will look into kids in schools being fed bugs in Victoria. Apparently that is a thing. So we'll have a look at that. Executive Order 13848. That is what you want to go looking up, folks. That is one of the most significant executive orders in history. And when you fully understand the ramifications of it, you'll know why we're all looking pretty relaxed and we're not getting too carried away about what's going on. So that's good. Ricardo was on fire in Melbourne. I missed his show in Melbourne. A little bit unfortunate. I have actually been speaking with Ricardo and crew in the last few days. We'll have some news there in the not too distant future. But yes, you will see Ricardo again on the Voice of Freedom in the not too distant future. Thanks, Dave. Vinnie Eastwood is the name of the guy that Dave has been talking to in New Zealand. So he's going to hook me up with Vinnie. That's great. Can I also search Victorian information about kids in schools eating bugs? Oh, shit. I'm scrolling back and going forward. I'm seeing things twice. All right. I think that's all good. Gave Iran $1.5 billion in cash and then took a kickback. Yes, there is an awful... That was Obama. And that was a Galactic Larrikin chiming in. God, don't we love the Galactic Larrikins? See you boys soon. And Bosie is a fantastic rep for the movement. Well, I'll just say he's a hell of a lot better than most of the people who stood up representing themselves in Melbourne over the last few days, not representing the people. They stood up representing themselves, claiming to be leaders. I'll say this one more time. I said this the other night on Sunday night with the Galactic Larrikins. And I'm focusing on Christian Mack because he's the one initially that we seem to think needs the most advice. Mac, the best thing you can do if you want to be a leader in this community is get out of it. Get out of it. Doesn't matter what the truth is. Doesn't matter what you tell us the truth is. Doesn't matter what people perceive of you. The fact of the matter is the damage is done. And if you want to be a leader in this movement, then lead by getting out. There's no point being in it because you are just divisive. and there are too many camps that will not follow you or what you claim you don't represent. So get out. If you want to be a leader, get out. If you don't want to be a leader, stay in, because people will recognize you then for what you are. It's more an ego thing, not a leadership thing. It's an ego thing for you and others around you. So that would be my advice. If you want to be a leader in this movement, Mac, get out. And he's not the only one. There are others claiming to be leaders in this movement. This movement doesn't need leaders, okay? It needs doers. It needs people to help people. It doesn't need people to be talked into electing folks like that, because we're going to wind up in exactly the same place that we started at. So all we're asking is for people to be open-minded, give everybody a fair go, but once you realise where they stand, don't give them the air anymore. And if you want to be a leader, this isn't the movement for you. This movement doesn't require leaders. It requires people who will help the people rise up themselves. Every person is a leader in this movement. Every person. Not just the ones who stand on stage. Every person who goes to one of those events, who drives thousands of kilometres to turn up to an event, to wave a flag, to cheer somebody on, is a leader. Not the people standing on the stage, because those people are the ones that go back to their communities and talk about it. Oh, we went to Melbourne, we did this. Oh, we went to Canberra, we did that. We went to Sydney, we saw that dickhead Leibold somewhere. Whatever it is, you're the leaders in the community, not us, not me, certainly not me. You are the leaders in this community. I am simply telling your story. We don't need people like Mac to be a leader. We don't need people like Hoodie to be a leader. And we'll have a talk about Hoodie in the not too distant future, but not just yet. We don't need leaders. We need you to stand up. Every one of you, every individual one of you is the leader. Nobody that stands on the stage is. They're just the people who have the microphone. And I can give you a microphone if you want one. That's no biggie. All right, enough of my ranting for the day. I'm not going to get anything achieved. I need to go and check out this dude in Newcastle on the food bank. I need to go and get my car wheel aligned, because we've got a severe pull to the left. And then tonight at the Cali, in Singleton at the Cali, for the People's Council information session tonight. Please come and have dinner with us from 5:30, and then from 7 o'clock, the People's Council thing will kick off. I look forward to seeing you there. It will be a very informative and a wonderful evening. I think love to see you there. If you're around Singleton, come up, say hi. If you've got a few questions, happy to answer them. I can probably tell you a bit more off the air than I can on, just between you, me, and the gatepost. But yeah, love to have you as part of it. And remember, you are the leader. All right. Not the dickheads who stand up on a stage or who sit in front of a laptop or travel around the country or do whatever. The people who turn up to those events, you're the leaders. You're the leaders in your own community. Remember that. Stand up. Be noticed. Get your People's Council going, because that's how we make a difference, through the People's Councils. All right? That's how we make a difference. So Singleton tonight, if you want to find out more about People's Councils, the Cali Hotel, 5:30 for dinner, 7:30 for the show tonight. Well, not show, it's the council meeting. And I'm looking forward to seeing everybody there. Have a great day. Be safe on the road. Stay away from the dickheads, folks. We saw a couple of them yesterday, managed to avoid them quite nicely. It was good.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back.
Does anybody else want to stay?